Hello, and welcome to HNB Conversations with Cosmo and Rivka.
Nailed it.
I did.
That's good.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to start off today with our hello of the week, I guess.
Our international hellos.
Our international hellos. And this one pretty much everybody knows. I mean, it's kind of an easy one. It's French from France. And
French from France?
French from France.
Like fries.
French fries, right? Okay, hello in French is bonjour. Like, right? Bonjour.
I think so.
That's how you say it, right? That's how the computer said it.
Yeah.
Bonjour, bonjour. Yeah, like that.
And I looked up where it's to say just hi. They say
Salut.
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 And I don't know if that's how you say it, but something like that.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
It's kind of bonjour.
Just be like you're at the beginning
salut.
of...
And so they go and when they talk to people, I think like when you're like, oh, hey, hi, they would probably use the salut.
Salut.
And then when they say hello, like if they answer the phone or if it's more of a formal thing, it's bonjour.
Yeah, let's see
bonjour.
Here's salut. Ready?
Yeah.
Salut.
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 All right.
That's hard.
So it's kind of like the beginning of, Belle. What's it?
What?
Beauty and the Beast.
Well,
Bonjour.
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 Okay, well, I understand what we're talking about. I just don't know what that music was because that
Here
had.
comes the baker with the.
Oh, okay. That's not what it sounded like, but okay.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, yeah. I know we're talking about Beauty and the Beast. I picked up on that. Okay, so what's the question?
Ooh, and a bit alarming.
Okay.
All right. We're rolling right in. Okay, here, I'll spin.
Spin, spin, spin.
All right, spinning. All right, the question is, what has been your favorite road trip or vacation?
Oh, wow. We've had a lot of road trips as a family. I know which one I think is my favorite. It wasn't really relaxing. Well, it was relaxing. We had relaxing moments. But I think my favorite trip that we've ever done, because we did a lot even before Rafi was born. Like, as the kids have been little, like, that's what we've always done. And so there are some of those that we don't have certain kids because we've been
Right.
having kids through the years.
Right.
So I think, though, that my favorite family vacation was the one where we took 3 weeks and we traveled the country. It was like Giovanni's high school graduation.
Oh.
And we took 3 weeks to travel. Because then, isn't that the one where we went also to Florida and we had
We did not go to Florida.
We did not go to Florida on that one.
No, that was an epic vacation. We drove over 6,000 miles over those 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
We did how many states?
21 states in
21 days. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one. My favorite.
19 states in 19 days.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just know it was a lot. And the
Yeah.
kids we had a blast. It was so fun. I mean, our children have been to how many states, Antonio?
Many.
I always forget. It's like 38?
Something like that.
38, right. So that was a lot of fun, and they enjoyed that. But by the end of that, we were really ready to, because that one actually wasn't relaxing.
Not relaxing at all.
Yeah, but it was a ton of fun. For me, though, the most relaxing one, though, was the one where we stayed in Florida, and we rented this Airbnb on the top floor. What floor was it?
It wasn't top. It was like 14th floor, though.
The 14th floor. Okay, it was higher. It felt like a top. But it was the 14th floor, and it was in this apartment building, like how they have condos on the beach of
With
Florida.
all those windows
when it was like the whole side of this apartment, and it had like 3 bedrooms. Yeah, it was 3 bedrooms. It had
nice
this
and
whole side where it's just all windows and sliding glass doors facing the ocean, so you could see the ocean the whole time. And then there was all these mirrors that reflected the ocean, and it was tons of fun. So we would go.
That's when I turned 18 on that trip.
Yeah. So we went, and for a whole week we swam, we ate, we played games, we watched movies, and it was a ton of fun.
It was really chill. Yeah, no, that was with the first one you're talking about. So just to give you, we spent the first week. The only time we spent any time of any length on that 3-week vacation was we drove to Missouri, and we spent a week in Branson, and we stayed actually at a hotel that seemed like it would be pretty cool, and it was fine. But it actually had an indoor water park in the hotel, And so that was fun. We thought the kids would enjoy that, and so we were there, and then we were on our way to Ohio to visit, to just see Rivka's aunt and uncle for a little bit. And on our way, we stopped in St. Louis, and this was my biggest. I was worried about parking the van overnight in St. Louis, because we were staying downtown St. Louis,
Right.
And so I went to the place where we were staying. Couldn't there was no room for our van, and so I went to this hotel next to us, the Holiday Inn Express, and they let me park it out front, and it went great. So the next morning we get up, so I thought, okay, we made it through St. Louis, we've stayed downtown, and but the next morning we went by the Arch, and while we went to go see the Arch, and it happened to be that they were renovating the St. Louis Arch, so the whole museum underneath. So we couldn't really go to the museum. So we kind of walked around, and then we went back to our van to go to the St. Louis, or to the spaghetti factory there. And while we were eating, because I had Giovanni go put some stuff in the van, while we were eating, our van got robbed. Our computers were taken. Tons of stuff was taken out of the main part of the van, but Antonio's stuff was in the back, so anything that was in the back of the van did not get taken.
No. What happened was I had my Nintendo Switch. I had all my actual in my computer. I had my valuables with me. All my stuff I had shoved between the wall and my seat because it was easier to access on the long drive.
Oh.
So it was it was harder to see and access. But all the backpack got stolen. And Giovanni's computer got stolen. Your computer and Mom's computer got stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't. I'm the only one who
Mom's
actually didn't.
purse.
I didn't have anything stolen from me.
So that was this stressful moment that was unexpected, and so we still had 2 weeks in front of us, but it was really, we made it through it. It was one of those moments where actually. I'd never experienced that sense of I was so upset. And what I was most upset about? I really and not that I was okay with my computer getting stolen, right? But you figure thieves break into your car, they're going to take the computers, right? Okay. That's what thieves do. But our little ones had little really colorful little kid backpacks. And they stole their backpacks and their pillow pets and little kid stuff. And I was like, wait, okay. Yeah, because of iPads. You're going to take computers. You're going to take someone's purse. You're going to do that. All right. But you're going to take a child's bag? So I was really frustrated. And I remember Riv at the moment, she goes, you know what we're going to do, guys? She goes, let's just stop right now. Before we left that parking lot, she said, we're going to pray for these people that did this. And she prayed, she led us in prayer. She prayed the Aaronic benediction over them. Mm-hmm. And she said, look, the Lord told us to pray for those who persecute us, to pray for those who do evil to us, to pray for our enemies.
To love our enemies.
And so in this moment, we're not going to focus on our anger. We're not, I was upset.
I was concerned about how everyone just felt emotionally.
I was relieved because none of my
because none of your stuff was gone. And so we did, and we had a great vacation. So then we went and visited the family in Ohio, and then from there we went to where did we go? We went to Columbus, Ohio. We went to the Football Hall of Fame and to the First Ladies Library there. We went up to Niagara Falls, and that was awesome with her Aunt Les and Uncle Scott. We went up to Niagara Falls, and then we came back, and from Niagara Falls, we stayed in South Bend, Indiana, which is where Notre Dame was. And so I woke up the morning, we woke up, and it was my birthday that morning. So I was excited because it was my birthday. So I would get a little more leeway to be like, hey, let's do some things that I want to do. So we were in South Bend, so I wanted to go see Notre Dame. So we went over to Notre Dame, drove around. Not that I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm just a football fan. So we went there, and then we drove through Chicago, and we went and we had pizza right on the lake there in Chicago, pizza at Pisano's Pizza. And that was fun. And we went by Wrigley Field, and the game was ending, but I got a picture in front of Wrigley. And then we went by the Home Alone house, and then we drove up to Milwaukee. And we get to Milwaukee. By the time we get to Milwaukee, it's later in the evening, and I wanted to take the kids for like dessert or something. And so we go to the downtown area, and we're walking around, and Ribs kind of.
Well, it was really dangerous. It was. I know what I like. It's late. It is late, and we happened to find a parking lot space like down a road where there are bars all along the road, like there, and it's late. It's like 10 o'clock at night. It's late. It's dark. We're in the inner city, and there's like all of these bars, and there's people hanging out in front, and they're drunk people, and they're loud and all that. And I have these small children. I don't want to get out and walk around the city where in the dark and everything. But Gosnell thought it was like silly that I was concerned when I was like, we were walking behind.
It was dark, and it was like what? It felt like 5-6 blocks from our restaurant or something.
Yeah, and so we had to walk all of these blocks, and we were walking behind buildings on the river, right? And like the boats are going by, and they've got all these people on the boats, and everyone on the boats are drunk and singing all kinds of songs, and that
they were
was
singing Disney songs.
They were
a bunch
singing
of college kids.
Oh, yep, they were still drunk. So, anyways, I have my little boy, and I've got my girls, and so it felt unsafe to me. That didn't matter to you at all, and you still think it's silly that it felt unsafe, but I don't think that's unreasonable.
Well, it didn't feel dangerous to me at all. Like it didn't feel dangerous. I have a danger detector as well, and I was like, this is.
Do you?
I do. Yeah, I don't like danger.
How do so many things happen then?
So many things happen. What? Like what?
Like, I don't know.
Getting our van robbed by parking at the.
No, not getting our van robbed.
The danger sense really worked with the robbery. You knew that was coming.
But I mean, like when you have like, it's reasonable, right? Where you have a mother with her small children, and it's late at night, it's dark, and you're wanting us to walk where there are no street lights, and we've just come from where there's like all of these bars and all of these drunk people out in the street. Like, you don't know where they are. You don't know if they're down the road. You don't know if this crazy guy who's totally high and wasted is like in a corner off the alley who's just waiting for this woman and their children to go by. You guys were ahead of us a lot of the time.
So then
I was in the back with the children like, hey, dude, this is really not okay. And you were like,
looking,
it's fine.
I wanted to find the the Fonzie. There was a Fonzie statue. I'm like, I'm in Milwaukee. I want to see the Fonzie statue, right? So I'd looked on the map. So we were looking for it, and we couldn't find it. So then I was like, we couldn't find even a restaurant that was open for dessert because it was my birthday. So I was like, let's have birthday dessert. So we finally we settle on the only restaurant we can find, which was a Chinese restaurant.
Old Chinese place.
And they bring us in. We ordered desserts, like on fire dessert.
Flaming bananas.
Yeah, it was terrible dessert.
It was horrible.
It was really
bad.
Terrible.
So we went through all of that. We went through all of that to have terrible Chinese food late at night.
I would look out the door of the Chinese place.
Yeah, right out the door. Right out the back door.
Right out the back door. Literally out the back door is the Fonzie statue.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Happy birthday.
And that was awesome. And then we went back and we went through Wisconsin, and then we surprised the kids by where did we also? We went by the Christmas Story house in Cleveland as well. But and then we went to Walnut.
We did the Home Alone house as well.
We did. I mentioned that one on our way through Chicago. And then we went to Walnut Grove, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. We surprised them. We went to the little house on the prairie.
Yeah. I kind of hit a fork in the road where we could I was like, look, we could go through Iowa and go to Field of Dreams. Or we could because we were on our way to, whatchamacallit.
I don't know.
You know, the big four faces on the rock.
Oh.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And so we were on our way to Mount Rushmore. And so we ended up going to I thought, well, my girls, my kids, and they all love
Little House on the
Prairie, and Field of Dreams was more of a me thing. And Antonio wanted to do Field of Dreams, but you didn't know it was even on the table. Did you? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I didn't think I told you. So anyway, we went to Little House on the Prairie, or to Walnut Grove, and that was cool. And then we came down through Colorado through after we did Mount Rushmore, and then we did Colorado, went through or Rocky Mountain National Park. That was fun. Anyway, and then Utah and back home.
Yep.
My favorite vacation was our vacation to Cannon Beach, Oregon.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
That's my favorite. We drove.
Oh, that one's really good.
We drove, and what we did for the way up there, we took the slow way up for the scenic route, and we took the Pacific Coast Highway, the one all the way up.
We took the kids through the
redwood forest, which was awesome.
That was really fun. Those trees are massive.
And
we went through there. We went through just along the ocean, and we stopped at all these random restaurants. And we had some good food, and we had some not so good.
Yeah,
food.
one place, my favorite looking place, had not great food, but it was
terrible food.
But it was a great locale.
It was so cute, though.
So cute.
Windows facing the ocean.
Yeah, it was this really cute little. It was like a seafood restaurant on the ocean, which is right and good.
Yeah.
But none of us ordered that.
Yeah.
So what we got?
You got like pasta and whatnot.
Yeah, but I don't know how you mess up pasta. Like
It's hard
how
to
do you
mess
do
up
that?
pasta.
Well,
yeah,
you can overcook it.
And then while we were in the redwood forest, I don't remember why, but one of the little ones, I think Rafi was 4 at the time, and Rivkala was 6 or 7, and she threw her. Someone threw her.
We were to the redwood forest, but I had gone through and I had found a clearing, and then I went down this embankment, and there was this huge river, and it was this riverbed that it wasn't dried up, but it was the summer, so it was down.
Right.
And so you could walk out there, and it was so pretty. And so we were taking all these pictures, and there was like these thistle bushes or whatever. And for whatever reason, I think, did Rivka get mad or something? Or
No, but someone threw her.
Shoot, it was probably
Her
Antonio.
flip
It was
flop.
probably Giovanni. Why would you say that? It's just like his natural curiosity took over. He was like, I wonder what would happen.
If I threw a flip flop.
All right.
That's the reason why he shot a slingshot in my head.
Okay,
So he
anyways.
threw a flip flop into this brush. So I go over to find it, and I reach down and I grab the flip flop. No big deal. I find
You
it.
had to get in there, though.
I did have to get in there.
You had to step off the path and get into the bush and get her little Walmart flip flops.
Yeah, her $2 flip flop, and I got poison ivy.
Yeah.
On my arm and leg. It was bad, and but anyway, then we were staying up on some friends of ours had actually blessed us with a week on the beach at Cannon Beach in this big 2-story house west facing the ocean with all windows facing the ocean, and inside it was orange. The furniture was all
like
orange.
stepping into
orange
1970,
shag carpet,
like
everything was awesome.
68, 70. It was like serious.
And so at Cannon Beach, we were actually right there by where the Goonies, which was one of my favorite movies, our favorite movies, and so we went and did all the Goonies stuff, and then
scenic
actually the
stuff,
kids and I made a little.
Well, you and the 3 younger ones
Yeah.
made your own little Goonies 2 movie on the. It's really cute.
It was fun. We spent a couple of days making this movie,
Yeah.
walking all over the beach, and,
Yeah, it
and
was
then
fun.
editing that together.
So I think it's hard to say because we've had some really wonderful family vacations. It's kind of been a focus for us.
Yeah.
I kind of knew as soon as we got married, I was like, I want to make sure to take time together, and go on vacations, and we've just been really thrifty about them. Like it sounds like they're these we just really navigate it in such a way, and
Yeah, well, first of all, when we got married, Rivka was in, we needed to be intentional. She was like, look, it's not going to just happen.
right.
It's not going to just happen. Basically, the urgency of the immediate is always going to rule us. If we don't plan to set aside this time and to make these memories, they're not going to happen, and life is just going to zoom past us. And so, thankfully, we have had a lot, and I give a lot of great vacations. And the way, just to give you a little hint, one of the ways to be thrifty with it are the national parks. The national parks are some of the most incredible they are the most incredible natural features in our country. And so, but they're inexpensive. And so you can go and do national park stuff, and it's memorable, and it's...
we drove through Yellowstone. Was it Yellowstone?
Not Yellowstone. We drove through Yosemite.
We drove through Yosemite. We drove through Yosemite, and then we went up the mountain over the Rockies. I do not...
Well, you're mixing stories there.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I tell you, it all
The
blends.
Rockies, okay. So this one we went over the Rockies on the 2018.
Okay.
We went over
I
the
don't
Rockies,
recommend...
and that was terrifying for
Yes,
me.
I do not recommend. If you want to do the Rockies, like, go to the bottom.
I thought, Rocky Mountain National Park. We're going to the park, the Rocky Mountain National Park.
We're gonna see the
you're
mountains. That'll be so
driving
great. It was the heat of
over.
summer, so we were hot, and then we went up so high it was snowing.
Yeah, we had
It was snowing up there. We have all our pictures where we're freezing because it's snowing while we're up there. We got to see, was it alpaca?
Yeah, I think so.
There was this wild alpaca that was up there, like several of them.
It was fun because it was summer, and we got out and we had a little snowball fight.
Yeah,
right
was,
in summer
June?
clothes.
We had a snowball fight in June.
Right, and so there
Like,
were
it was
like
deep enough.
and
Snow,
Rivka,
you could pack it.
there's this
man.
this funny video of me videoing, and Rivka is like, "Look, Daddy, I'm like a snowball," and she picks up the snowball and she guns it at me,
chucks it.
and it hits me
Nailed
right
him.
between
in the
legs.
worst spot.
Just nailed him, and he
You
just
go
goes
down.
straight
You see the
down.
camera
The
go
camera
down.
just collapses, and you're.
That was a good
But
one.
it was like this really sweet moment, and then the cameraman's like
Now,
down.
we have good memories from that drive. The worst drive was the one-way cliff.
in
the
California.
Okay, so that's 2010.
That was 2010.
So 2010, we were actually we had gone. We were
Have we
going.
talked about this? I feel like we've had that. We
No.
have not. Okay.
We were in Northern California visiting. We did a family camp out up in Lake County, and then with Rivka's family and so forth. And then we were making our way down to Arizona, actually, because we didn't live here at the time. We were coming to visit her brother here in Arizona. So I thought, well, I looked and mapped it and said, hey, let's go through Yosemite. Let's, who wants to drive just like the I-5 down? That's boring. Let's go through Yosemite. So we go and we stay at a hotel one night, and then the next day we're going to go see Yosemite. So as I'm looking at my atlas, I'm looking at the fastest way to Yosemite, and there's this little curvy road, and it's called, what's it called? Anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head. I've documented it.
The Death Road.
And it's this little road, this curvy road, and I thought that looks shorter. And so, but let me double check. And so I type it in. We had a GPS before they were all on our phones. And I type it in GPS, and GPS sends me to this road. So as we're driving up, right? We're driving toward this road, and it says, it gives us a sign that says 1 lane road ahead. And you know how that'll happen, where there'll be like 1 lane, the road will kind of thin down for 1 lane for maybe, the length of a bridge or something like that. So as we're about to come to that, I remember this big 4x4 truck, just massive truck, comes zooming past me. Guy had to be going 65 miles an hour.
He was getting off the road.
And he's coming off that road. And we're still 2 lanes. And I thought, boy, that was fast, right? So then the road narrows. And I'm like, okay. But all I can see in my head is that 4x4 coming around.
Coming fast. So it turns out, I'm waiting for this road to stop narrowing. We make a right-hand turn and a left-hand turn. Now all of a sudden we are in this mountain road where
No railing.
There's no guard railing.
And
There
you
you have the
a
mountain on
steep
one side.
drop
If
to a
you've been
lake.
carved in like to the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And so it's only stone. It's like solid rock stone on like your left side. And then on your right side, it's so narrow that because I'm on the right side, I'm in the passenger seat. When I
Yeah.
look out my window, I cannot see the edge of the road.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's how narrow it is to where
Yeah.
I'm not able to see the edge. Like it's so under our wheel,
Now-
Right.
now-
And then there's just this absolute like
Steep drops.
drop, like
To a cl- to-
hundreds
to
of
a
feet,
lake.
and it goes straight into a lake, and
river. Yeah, it was a river. But anyway,
it was a
Water.
body
Water.
of water. and it goes straight down, and there's some trees, and there's like all this dead grass, and fun little sightseeing adventure when you're on this tiny road where you feel like you could fall off the edge anytime. There are these burnt out cars that have gone off the road, and they're in random places down this cliff as you're driving this road. They're burnt out cars that have like, they fell down. Like one I remember was like halfway bent around a tree because a tree had stopped its plummet. And I mean, it was so scary, and so I'm basically hyperventilating.
Your head is
so,
between the seats, like you turned around. You were facing us.
I was so scared. My children are in the car. My husband.
There's no cell phone signal.
Nothing.
No. None. Like if,
and it's not, and we don't know if someone's coming in our direction.
That's the thing.
So
because it's sharp turns on this narrow. I can't go backward. There's no turnaround point for me. I can't back up because I'm not that good of a driver on this kind of curvy road.
Please don't.
To back
Nobody
my
should.
way.
Oh my gosh.
On this where there's
right.
this narrow. So now I'm committed, and I don't know how long it is. By the way, it's 9 miles long.
Nine.
Now 9 miles might not sound long to you.
No,
Oh,
9
no.
miles is long.
But 9 miles when
Of
you're
driving
going
on a cliff.
10 miles an hour means you're on this thing for about an hour.
Right. So I'm trying to
live-
keep the kids from getting scared because I'm fully aware of how dangerous this is. And so I'm in the passenger seat. I'm on the edge of the cliff. I see the water, but and I already have like, I have height, like I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and I'm trying, and I don't want to scare the kids. And so I keep putting my head down between my knees under the dashboard so that I can't see. And I'm praying and I'm trying to be quiet so that we don't die and the kids aren't scared. And Cassini goes,
Because she's like 4.
they're so little. And she goes, "Look, Mommy, water." And I'm like, yeah, water, baby. That's great. There's water down there. I thought I was going to have, I thought I was going to have a
I
heart
was on
attack.
the
It was
passenger
so
side,
scary.
so I'm just like hugging the wall.
I'm white. It was called Ward's Ferry Road.
Don't go on it.
Ward's Ferry Road. Well, apparently, it's a road that motorcyclists apparently love this road, which makes sense.
Makes way more
because
sense.
it's got the width for a motorcycle. We're in a minivan.
Yeah, it's got the width for a motorcycle.
We're in a minivan, and I mean, I'm white knuckling it. I'm trying to stay cool.
Like if the
Like,
kids
I
ever started
cannot-
laughing or whatever, Cosmo would be like, "You guys need to be quiet."
Shh, quiet, guys, quiet. Like I have to stay focused. I'm hugging the wall. I'm like I've got the van as close to the
Without
mountain
scraping
wall
it.
as I can, because there are times I cannot see the edge.
It was
I
so
ca- I
awful.
and I my entire all 6 of us at the time with Rivka pregnant with Rafi, are in this vehicle. If something happens, no one will ever
Find us. That was the thing. I kept thinking, like, if we die, like even if we're injured, we're gone. We're done. No one's going to find us.
Right.
And then you're like, how did I get on this road? Why would
the GPS the TomTom?
why would the TomTom take us on this road? Because it was supposed to be some sort of shortcut or something.
Yeah.
And but that's where it told us to go.
Right, because I had looked and I was like, I don't know. It looked good on the atlas, and then when the TomTom told me to go there, I thought, well, the TomTom, that's a good.
It knows what it's
It knows
doing.
what it's doing. It's telling me, and then I got to tell you, seriously, 9 miles of it. The only time that felt good was when we got down to the bottom and crossed the bridge over the water. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to turn around then because you have to go the same distance back. So you may as well finish it, right?
No, we could not turn around. Just like we could not turn around once we got halfway up the Rockies.
But not knowing what was coming around any particular corner. Like, okay, so here was part of my anxiety. Thank God, 9 miles of this, never once did a car come
in our direction. Because it was two ways.
Because that was the thing. I mean, even if not just the guy going 65 miles an hour in a 4x4, but what if any car turns the corner and we're nose to nose facing each other? I can tell you this: I'm not backing up. Are you backing up, car? Because I'm not backing up. And so that anxiety.
When we got closer to the end, though, after, we'd we were sweating,
Oh, my
and
gosh.
I'm like, dear God, let me not have this child right
if you
here.
get me out of this, Lord.
Yeah, right. So, but at some point when we were getting closer to the end, I think it was right after we crossed the bridge, we saw a truck coming in our direction.
Yeah.
And we were like, thank you, Jesus, that we were now off the bridge, because there was a little bit of room to pull to the side for him to
Yeah.
go past.
Yeah.
Because you were like, what if that had, like, what if we'd been in the middle of just this long period of time, and there was no place for that, none at all.
Yeah.
And so by the grace of God, they came just as we were like kind of getting out of there. And you're like, you want to warn people, you're like, do not go down this road.
So this was my grievance afterward, is that as I'm coming up to this road that says or single lane ahead, right? It needs to give more information than single lane ahead. It needs to say single lane for next 9 miles, not single lane ahead. I mean, again, usually you see single lane ahead and you drive on a one lane bridge and you cross and people can take turns and yada yada. To understand that you got 9 miles single lane, that at least gives you some information that makes you go, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe I need to turn around and find another route. But so that was in 2010, and that was a summer that I had the first part of the summer, or a couple weeks earlier. I had a conference that I was going to in New York City, or New Jersey, but when it was going to New York City. So I took the boys. Giovanni was 11, and Antonio was almost 9, and so I took them. We went to New York and went through. I mean, that was an amazing trip. We went to Gettysburg and Valley Forge, and went to the Independence Hall in Pennsylvania, and then the Statue of Liberty, all the stuff around New York. We went down to. Then when we left there, we went to Washington, D.C., came through the Shenandoah
You did all that
Valley.
with the boys. I
Just
stayed
the
home
boys.
with the girls.
Then came home, and then got in the car, and then we drove west.
Right.
And we were then out. So we went coast to coast with the boy. I went coast to coast with the boys that summer. And that was in 2010. That was a
I
wild
think the better
summer.
question is, like, what was your worst vacation? Because we have a lot of really great vacations that we were intentional about, and a lot of it was just exploring. Like when we're driving across the country with the kids and we're just randomly driving around. Like we were in Tennessee driving, and we just take these little offshoot roads. That one road we took was not that, though. We were actually listening to the tom-tom. But we've been like, we would drive on different roads and stuff, and we came
Yeah.
across this Cherokee Village.
Yeah, Cherokee Village in North Carolina.
That was fun.
Oh, that was North Carolina.
But it was right on
That was the Tennessee trip, right?
Yeah. Because what was fun about that trip, that was 2008. I had just gotten my XM radio, right? So I was excited about having, because I used to have to drive all over the place, and some places had no radio. I remember one time I was driving across southern Missouri and hit the AM dial and to find something, because I like to listen to talk, and it went all the way around. And it found one station of some guy reading the obituaries out of the local newspaper. That's all I could listen to.
That's funny.
For real. And so I was like, so when I got my XM radio,
I forgot about XM.
Sirius XM.
Yeah.
It was Sirius at the time. No, I got
Sirius.
XM. There was the two different before they had merged.
Okay.
Anyway, so on that trip, once we got to where we were going, for the whole way back, we only drove back roads. I mapped it so that we did not drive. I wanted to make it like a 1940s vacation before there was like a freeway. And so on XM radio, I only played the 40 station on the 40s channel, and we drove through back towns all the way back from Tennessee back to Springfield, Missouri. And that was a lot of fun. But we found that little farm. Remember that it was like
There was a colonial farm that we found one time where we went through, and it was a whole village built just for that, like as though you step back in time.
Yeah.
And you could just walk through it, and it was that.
We just happened upon it.
Yeah, it was just like the things that they the houses like that they had and all that kind of stuff. And then another time is when we came across the Cherokee Village, where it was the Cherokee Nation had this whole like outdoor museum type setup with all the way they had built their homes and their lifestyle. And you go through and there's all these.
It's called Cherokee, North Carolina is the place.
Okay, so and it was, I mean, it was an amazing homeschool experience because they were showing the kids how they made their canoes and how their whole culture was, and it was a ton of fun. I really loved that.
Because we were there, I had to preach on 2 separate weekends there, so we we stayed in Gatlinburg in between, and so Gatlinburg was neat because it was this little alpine feeling town, and then we would kind of in the afternoons just kind of drive. Let's just drive around. Let's look and see. Let's explore. And we came across all these different little places. It was a lot of fun. But I don't know. I don't have a worst vacation.
I mean, there wasn't in my memory. There wasn't a vacation that we took that was intentionally a quote unquote vacation that was bad. For me, in my memory, probably the worst trip we ever took all together was in 2012 when we went to see your dad. The last time I saw your dad, and we were in a two-bedroom hotel with a futon.
No, we weren't
for like
in
a
a two-bedroom. It was.
Oh no, it was a 2-bed hotel room with a futon for like a month.
Well, that
3
was
weeks.
first of all. Back up. It's 2013.
That's why did I say 2012? I meant 2013.
Yeah. So it was that we had just found out
Because
my
the
dad was
audience is like, make sure it's the right year, guys.
Which February?
February of 2013. We just found out my dad was sick, and so we drive across to Florida to visit him. And on the way there,
that's right. I forgot
on the
about
way
this
there,
part.
we stay at because we always stay at Holiday Inn Express. Because
we were first in the house, like we were staying at your mom and dad's house.
I'm talking about on the trip.
Too.
This
is when he got. Where was it? It was in.
So what happens? So I always if I can tag this on. So years ago, when we would be
were you waiting for permission or were you asking?
No,
or?
I'm just.
You're just gonna keep going.
Gonna go for it. So years ago, we would. I was itinerating, preaching at different churches every week. And we were in Florida one summer going, from church to church. And I would always, and we would stay with my parents and whatnot, but I would Priceline a hotel. And, it's kind of a spinning the wheel, roll the dice. And often it was good, but we had some negative experiences. And so there was one particular day where we're on our way leaving Florida, and I had scheduled 2 services in Jacksonville at 2 Hispanic churches, and they were going to be back-to-back services. And so my kids were exhausted, and Rivka was exhausted. So the pastor of the one church was going to come pick me up from the hotel early in the morning, and then I'd go preach at the one church, and then he would take me to the next church and then come back. So I had gotten us at this it wasn't a Holiday Inn Express. I had gotten us at this Priceline hotel.
Was it the Red Roof? I thought it was a Red Roof.
No, I don't even remember what the name of it was. But we got there, and Rivka it was so gross. She was walking with her shoes off, and
my socks got black.
Yeah.
And I have my children in here. And
I remember you telling us, don't get off the bed unless you have to go to the bathroom.
I was like, yeah,
Stay on the bed.
I took the comforters off, of course.
So Giovanni and I are sitting on the bed, and we're just watching whatever's on TV we're having to know if we have to go to the bathroom, you do it fast.
Yeah, this is 2000.
Didn't the toilet wobble?
The toilet,
no,
that was a different thing.
Okay.
That's a Disney World. Woohoo.
Really?
Well, okay, so
that was another Priceline hotel, right?
Yeah, that's another story. Cosmo, you're like, woo, going into all sorts of weeds.
That was
here.
when you stay. We went to do a timeshare, but they didn't have any. You go visit a timeshare for 3 days so that you can get you get 3 days for free if you sit through their presentation. And they didn't put us in the timeshare; they put us in a local hotel, and we go in there, and you're like.
You were always happy like that as a kid?
Yeah, you're like 4 years old, 5 years old, and you're like, this is the best hotel ever! And the toilet was wild. You're like, the toilet
it wasn't even
wobbles.
You thought that was great. And I remember telling Dad, I'm glad that he's really happy, because this is the worst.
With all the itinerating and all the trips that we did when I was a kid, I don't know how other people feel, but I know I love hotels.
Yeah.
Hotels are always
Fun.
memorable. So we
Right.
so
Even
so we're back in
now.
Jacksonville, and
Or are we telling the story again?
we're back in Jacksonville. We're in this hotel that's gross or whatever, and I'm like, look, I said, hey, and they won't do late checkout. I said, babe, it'll be fine. I said, I got this service early. I'll be back here by like 11:30 or 12. But checkout's at 11. I said, just let them know I'm running a little late. They can clean the other rooms first.
Right, Cassini's a baby, like a baby.
Baby.
And
She's,
like
one.
No, she's not one yet, I don't think. She's really small.
Approaching it.
Yeah, but she's a baby. And then Giovanni and Antonio are in there. They're not allowed to get off the beds. And, I'm like, and I've got all the suitcases out, and we have only one car, and we have only one cell phone.
Right.
And I don't have, or I had my little cell phone, but then you didn't have a cell phone, or maybe
I was preaching, but my phone was off.
Okay, so your phone was off. That's right.
Yeah,
So
you
it
had the pink
felt
one,
it
Mom.
felt like you didn't have a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there with the 3 kids, and in today's thinking, like, that's insane that I would stay someplace with the 3 kids and you would turn your phone off.
Yeah.
Like today, you'd be like, okay, so my wife's there with everything, but I'm gonna keep my phone right here, and if she needs me, I'm gonna take that call.
Right.
But in those days, I mean, the cell phones, like, it wasn't as mainstream as it is right now, and we weren't also like, we need to make sure that we can get a hold of each other. So you turned yours off, and I had my little flip phone or whatever. And so I'm in the hotel room, and you're like, it won't be a problem. I'm like, are you sure? Because those kinds of things always make me nervous. I don't like being late. I don't like ruffling feathers. I don't like making a big deal at a restaurant if something goes wrong, or if it's too expensive, like, get your credit card out, because you're paying for an expensive meal. We're not leaving. We're not getting up and walking out. Like, I get embarrassed.
I like to look at the menu before I get seated.
Yeah, you're so smart. So we're there, and he's like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He goes, you just tell them, like, yeah, well, we'll be out soon or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I'm in there with my baby and the boys, and there's someone, the housekeeping comes to the door, and I'm like, oh, hey, I tell them what you tell me to tell them.
Didn't you say they banged
No,
really hard on the door?
no. So I'm like, oh, hey, we'll be out soon. I'm waiting for my husband. She's like, okay. And so then she leaves, and you're not coming back. Like, it's taking longer than I thought.
And I'm
it
not
was
driving. I have no control.
Right. You have no control, and you're not coming back, and we're not talking on the phone. And so the next thing I know is there is this boom, boom, boom on the door, and I open the door, and it's like the manager of the hotel and the housekeeping staff, and they're like, you need to be out of this room in 10 minutes.
My poor wife.
And I was like, okay. And they were like, really, it was intense. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I closed the door, and I'm looking around, and Giovanni was 4.
Probably crying.
No, Giovanni would have been 6 at this time.
Well, Cassini's he's
Cassini
6
was
years older than
born.
Cassini.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's
Yeah.
6.
Maybe
Antonio's
7.
4,
Yeah.
and she's a baby. So I'm just immediately like, okay. How do I do this? I have to pack us up. I have to get all our suitcases into
With 3 kids in tow.
with 3 and all the kids into the van, but I have to put them in the van one at a time because I need someone, like, it was like someone had to be someplace at all times, and I couldn't be all place at all times. And so I was trying to navigate how to get everything in there and then get all the kids down. It was so stressful. And then it started raining. And so it's now pouring down rain. I'm trying to get the baby
remember
and the
sitting in the
kids and the everything and get them into the van. So I get everybody in there. It's so stressful. I'm wet. The kids are like, fine. The baby's fine.
She actually set them up.
Right.
like-
So what I did was I set it up to where they could have like a movie. Like, I'd put the boys in the back, and I got them all comfortable. And what were they watching?
Garfield. We had
Garfield,
just
probably.
bought, on the way out of Bushnell, we had just bought the Garfield seasons 1 and 2. They had just seen them.
And we had like the little portable CD players. So I set them up where they were super comfortable because they didn't have to be buckled in or anything.
Right.
And they had their pillows and their blankets. I'm like, yeah, look. And so like, yeah,
Make
we'll
it
watch
like an
Garfield.
adventure.
It's like an adventure. I'm like, isn't this fun? And inside I'm like dying and I'm terrified and I don't know what to do because I don't know how to get anywhere. And so then that's when Cassie Nike's in her car seat. I give her my little flip phone so she can play with my little flip phone. And we sat in that van for 6 hours.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
No, I'm telling you. It was near evening.
No
Yes,
way.
it was. I promise you, because when you got back, you were like, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. There was nothing I could do." And you were worried about the hotel and everything, but you had no idea what was happening because it was the morning.
Afternoon. It was still afternoon when I got there. It was still like 2:00.
He would have called you.
There was
if
no
it
way
been
it was 6 hours. It felt like 6 hours. No way it was 6
Well,
hours.
we had to get out, like, as soon as you left, they had us get out. And then you didn't come back.
I left at like 9 a.m. I was gone maybe a total of 6 hours.
They
Maybe
came.
till like 3.
I was hoping to stay in. They came and they had us get out. I wasn't even dressed. They had us get out, and then I had to wait till you got back. So we sat there.
See, that makes more sense. If we got out of there around 9:30.
Yeah, like they
and
came
you didn't get there
immediately.
till,
I
like,
was
2,
shocked.
Could have been like 5 hours.
Yeah, I was shocked. And so we sat there and waited, and by the time you got back, I was just like, I said to him, I'm like,
Oh, yeah, that's-
never again. Never again are you putting me in a hotel from
That's it.
Priceline with the kids
That's
while
right.
we're itinerating.
And-
You will put me in a nice hotel where the floors are clean and the bathrooms are done and there's not like a ready-made, like, I'm like, I wanted a hotel room where the comforters were regularly washed. It was like the sheet ones, you know, where they take those off and they also wash those, not those like nylon-y ones. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore because we've been itinerating for a while.
Yeah, a couple years.
Yeah, and it was like every time I was on the road trip, we were in the dumpiest places.
Like I one time Pricelined a hotel for downtown St. Louis with the boys, and when we went to Philadelphia.
It was
even,
Philadelphia that I'm thinking
and
of.
I Pricelined it.
It was
I
like
got
a
us.
gold lobby.
I got us for $75 a night into a 2-room suite and amazing indoor
We
pool
ordered
on the
pizza.
18th floor.
Yeah,
was
you
a
guys.
balcony.
I remember
And-
you called me.
And Giovanni was
Giovanni's like, Mom, and this will tell you the kind of hotels that he knew his mother was only staying in, because he calls and he's like, Mom, he's like, it's so great. They have glass cups, because every place we stayed, they were the tiny little plastic
stack,
things.
that was-
He's like, they have glass cups.
He was
And
so
I'm like,
impressed with it.
I know. I'm like, wow, honey, that's wonderful.
Because at the
and
ages of what was that? We were at that point. I was 8 and he was 11. We were hotel veterans.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'd stayed in
So
so
Dad-
many hotels.
Yeah, Dad gets on the phone and he's like, hi. And I go, hi. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, glass cups. And he's like, I'm so sorry, babe.
It's just like every time she's not with us, we get the most
The
amazing
nice
hotels,
things.
and she's with us, and we get the garbage hotels. So she said, from now on, we're staying in nice hotels. So we started always staying at Holiday Inn Express because it was a consistent
Holiday
experience.
Express is great. Also,
Yeah.
Right, but
it's not like high
regular
end, but
Holiday
it's
Inn?
not. It's like
What?
right in the middle.
has regular Holiday Inn has like you got to pay for the Wi-Fi and the breakfast.
Yeah.
Holiday Inn Express free Wi-Fi and free breakfast.
Uh-huh.
It's
And
great.
So here's the thing, though.
It's cheaper.
So that brings us back around to 2013.
We have arrived now for the story.
We're at 2013.
The worst
and,
trip.
And I book a hotel in, what is it? New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh yeah, that's
So, and it's a Holiday Inn Express because it's consistent. But what they've done is Holiday Inn Express at this point has bought some other hotel,
Like a
and
real
an old hotel,
like a Motel 8 or something like.
but it's in downtown. It's like right
was-
there
yeah.
in
it was like 3 or 4 stories, I think.
yeah. And it's
I-
right in downtown, right by the whole famous area, which was,
Yeah.
felt really dark spiritually too. By the way, I mean, it
this was Louisiana, right?
in New Orleans. It was
yeah.
in the where they do Mardi Gras.
And Giovanni
and everything.
hated it there.
So anyway, we get into that hotel room, and it's so
Muggy.
mildewy
It
smell.
was.
Yeah,
That
it
was
smelled
bad.
like
It was
mildew.
So
It was
The AC
muggy.
didn't really work.
we stay there that night, and I mean, you have to understand. By the time we get to New Orleans, we just crossed Texas. I mean, point to point Texas, 1,000 miles
That's a
of
long drive.
Texas. Yeah.
of and I'm telling you that the western part of Texas is barren. It's oil.
Is that like all the salt flats and
It's
stuff like
just-
that?
I mean, it's just barren. It's nothing, and it's such a long drive. So we get through Texas, and we're staying in New Orleans, and I mean, we've been driving, and I wake up the next morning, and we go to leave. My stomach's feeling a little weird,
That's right.
and so we're leaving, and we're not far from Florida now,
Right.
and
We all
we're
get in
driving,
the
and
car.
All of a sudden
We
I
were
feel-
driving and everything's fine, and you're like, I don't feel so great. You're like, I'm not really feeling well. And usually Cosmo pushes through that kind of stuff. He's like, I'm not going to allow sickness to affect me. So he's like, we're driving, and he looks over at me and he's like, I gotta pull over now. And I'm like, okay. So we pull off the freeway, we pull over, and it was like just hay everywhere. It was like so out in the middle of nowhere. And he gets out and he goes to the other side and he just starts throwing up. And I'm like, oh my Lord. Okay. Cause we were I think we were on our way to the Brewers.
No, we were on the way to Florida to see
Okay.
my parents.
Okay.
Because my dad was sick.
That's right.
And
I'm
so-
mixing everything up as far as
Yeah,
it's too many trips. I'm too old at this point. It's been too many trips.
So I thought, okay, that whatever that was, that's over. And I get back in the car, and I'm like, okay, because I'm also too cheap I'm not.
You don't want to get another.
I don't want to get another hotel. We gotta go. We gotta get there. We can make it there today. And so I drive a little bit further, and
You were not making it.
I had to pull over again. Got sick again. And now I was feeling like
Sick.
death warmed over.
Yeah.
There was no.
I can't. Did you have a
way.
fever? I can't remember if you
Yeah.
had a fever.
The second hotel we got was nicer.
Then we
Then
it
we
was way
then we
better.
had to stop.
we stopped at a hotel. We got 2 rooms because I didn't know what I was sick with.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, and also you wanted to be able to sleep,
I
and we
needed
had
to
all
sleep.
these kids, and so they needed to be able to
There
bounce
were,
around.
There were 5 of us, and Rafi was what, 2, 3?
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
He was 2. He was
Yeah.
2 in a few months.
yeah, and so I actually always remember that I woke up because you and I were in the rooms were neighboring with the kids.
Those were always
we
fun
had
rooms.
connecting rooms.
Yeah.
And I woke up and you had just discovered the
Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty. I
Yeah.
woke up to Duck Dynasty.
forgot
I had
about
just
Duck Dynasty.
I
discovered
was
Duck
looked up. I'm like,
Dynasty.
are
What are you
we watching
watching?
ZZ Top? What is this? what is happening on the?
I was like, this is
television?
funny.
And I always remember that. So yeah, then we went to Florida and we were there for a month. I flew back to preach here, and then while we were staying through to see how things were going with my dad, and he was going, but that was a
Yep.
tough one.
But so you just told about
The trip there.
the trip. The worst part of that,
Thank
we
you.
were there for like a month and a half.
Thank you, Antonio.
And we stayed. So what happened was the shower was getting done at Nana and Papa's house.
Well, no. So let me back up.
Okay, yeah.
So we're
Mom,
staying.
you tell this because this
Okay.
was actually the whole point of this part of the
I
story.
know. I was like,
that
are we
brought up.
getting there?
And you
Are
just
we-
told about when you got sick, which I know
Yeah.
is
I
hard
think we
for
just
you,
talked
but
a
we're
whole
talking
hour about
for the
like,
rest
everything
of us.
but. So okay, so we get there and we're staying in their house because they're at the hospital, and my father-in-law was staying at the hospital now, and Joanne was staying with him, and so we're staying there, and the bathroom is not right for me. Like I go in and I'm like, something's off. Like something's not right in here. It did have a very strong mildewy smell and everything. And so
floor
it had
was
this,
soft.
it had this, it had this standing shower. And I'd go over it and I'm like, the floor is soft over here. Like it's soft and I smell mildew, and the shower itself is like almost wobbly, like the floor that you would stand
It
on.
had sunk around the drain.
Right. And so I'm like, something's wrong, and we all need to shower. We need to be able, like, but something's wrong, and you need to call somebody, And so he called his parents, and they're like, yeah, have someone come out.
We have a guy.
So they're like, yeah, we have a guy. That was a whole thing in and of itself. Anyways, I'm not going to make this into a massively long story. So the guy comes, and he's basically like, the entire floor is rotted out from underneath. The whole shower is rotted out. The only thing that was holding up the shower was a pipe that was under the drain. That was it. So
Right.
like, had your parents been in there, like the whole floor could have collapsed
Right.
underneath them.
Right.
So then we had to leave the house, and all of us had to go stay in the only local hotel there
the
was.
Microtel.
A microtel. And it was the only hotel in that whole town nearby or whatever that you could stay in. So we all head over, I got my pack and play, got my baby, like, okay, we got all the kids. We go in there, and then Cosmo he's going and seeing his parents, or he's
So I'm
taking
driving
the
up to
kids.
Gainesville.
Right, it's, a lot of
walk
that.
In, there's a futon and the little kitchenette.
Right,
Two
so
queen beds.
Right. So then what happened, though, is the air conditioner stopped working. And it's Florida, and it's humid.
That's bad. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you
It was
blocked it
March
out.
at this point, yeah.
But it's still Florida, and it's still humid. And so the air conditioning stopped working, and so I was stuck in this room all of us, all day long. There's no air conditioning, and I'm so hot and I'm so miserable. And then like all of this stuff was going on with trying to get the shower, and the guy was taking so long. How many days did we spend at the
We were
hotel?
there for, I think, 3 weeks.
No.
Was it not?
How long? It was
It was
was half the trip.
It was like 10 days maybe.
it was a long
It was
time.
a little longer than that.
Well-
it was we were there for a month. I think it was half the trip.
No.
So, anyways, even so, it was
Maybe
a
I'm wrong.
very
I
long
was
time
12.
to stay in a hotel room. And when we complained or whatever, they were like, well, yeah, maybe we'll have someone look at it, or yeah, the rooms, they have some kind of issues. And they knew we were at the mercy. Like, at their mercy, there's nothing that we could do. So anyways, for me, that was a really, really, really stressful time, because
Right.
your dad was sick, and of course you were there with your dad, of course, and then I was with the kids and trying to handle all this stuff, and there was like no air conditioning, and
Yeah.
so I
Well,
would
and
say
when we
there's a
weren't-
lot of those
And when
too.
we weren't at the hotel, we were at your parents', like, what was it, 1,000 square foot?
It was
900 square foot cluttered little house.
but
and
that was okay though.
It was
'cause
okay, but there were 7 of us, so it was tight there, and then we got tighter at the
hotel. Just
and
one
that was a
room.
full month while we're seeing
Yeah.
Papa, because he was sick. So that I would say that was our worst trip.
But that really wasn't a vacation.
No.
though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was saying we've never had a worse vacation, but when we're talking about an extended trip,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
it.
That wasn't
that
fun.
was definitely rough.
I think the whole purpose of that trip was
Yeah,
just
rough.
was-
from beginning to end.
Yeah.
You know, it was weird too it was so weird when we were leaving Phoenix to head out there. Is that when we got to the hotel in New Orleans, I look at the news on my phone, and it has snowed around Phoenix.
That's
I know,
right.
I
It was the
remember
one
that.
time it snowed in Phoenix.
And we were not here.
We were not here.
Yeah.
And I was
We were
like,
upset.
"Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of adventures and a lot of great memories and memorable memories that aren't great sometimes. But all right, and I don't think we have time for a second question today.
No, it's like there are a lot of words.
Yes, you have a lot to say, babe.
So do you, babe.
I know, and I love you, and I'm glad you have a lot to say.
You are not glad. I always have a lot to say.
Not always.
Okay, I love you too.
All right. Well, all right, everybody. Well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, shalom. Have a beautiful day.